Thanks for listening to Curious Cat, the podcast that examines a shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. Last week, you and I took a look at the spectrum of human emotions, many of which have been stigmatized or suppressed by Western culture. What struck me after the conversation is that boredom deserves its own place in the spotlight. It's complicated, positive, negative, a mix of both, and at its heart, uncomfortable in this overstimulated time. I actually think it has to do with trauma. We all carry trauma, and getting quiet means we have to sit with our trauma. That's uncomfortable, right? Boredom is one of the most misunderstood feelings. What if moments of boredom are golden opportunities to imagine, to create, to problem solve, to learn, to grow, to connect with the divine? So how did boredom lead me to be introduced to two or more angels? I promise I'll explain. Let's get into it. Let's look at boredom and its myriad of golden opportunities. I found this from a Substack called Break Free from the Internet. I've put the links in the show notes, and I highly encourage you to click on the link and subscribe to their free blog on Substack. It's incredible. To begin, they said, "We are so fearful of being alone in our own head that we are willing to do anything to resist." A study remarkably found that people would rather be electrically shocked than be left alone with their own thoughts. Allowing our brain to wander, following our thoughts wherever they might go, is not only an incredible step in self-discovery, they write, it can open up new brain pathways and invigorate our creativity. I love the quote in this article. I love so much of it, but this one in particular, on the importance of children being bored. Psychologist Peter Gray says, "Now when my son tells me he is bored, I say, 'That's great, honey.'" It might be easy to tell our children it's good to be bored, but practicing what we preach can be a challenge. It's a bit like taking on meditation or mindfulness. We resist this space in our own head, but as the studies above outline, this time can be priceless. They do point out in their article that boredom can have devastatingly negative effects on people. From Columbia University, quote, "People who are bored easily are susceptible to depression, anxiety, anger, academic failure, poor work performance, loneliness, and isolation. Further, quote, chronic boredom is associated with impulsivity and risky behavior, including careless driving, compulsive gambling, drug and alcohol abuse, reckless thrill seeking, and other self-destructive behaviors." So we need to face that, right? I'm going to interrupt their Substack to just offer this little nugget that I got from one of the angels as I was doing research on boredom and their connection with the angels. I found this angel I'd never heard of. His name is Israfil. He will help us in many ways, and I didn't even know about him until this week. He comes from the Islamic traditions. He's the angel that encouraged me to start singing more, and I didn't even know his name until this week. I love his advice. When we are feeling particularly depressed, he offers this: sing the word love over and over, then notice how much better you feel in a matter of minutes. Isn't this amazing? He shows us how to fill our days with beauty. So I just wanted to offer that nugget, not to be a Pollyanna as we're talking about the dark side of boredom, but I just wanted to offer that as a solution right now. Also, I can't help thinking, this came to me this morning before I hit the record button. It's our trauma buried inside of us that we are afraid. It keeps us from sitting in the quiet space that boredom gives us. And if we can take time, if we can desensitize ourselves to that trauma, maybe desensitize is a word that says push it away or ignore it better, but maybe we can sit with it in discomfort and hold that trauma and embrace that trauma. Maybe it's just 5 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, half an hour next week, and get comfortable with that trauma and really nurture it like it's a best friend and give it the space to have a voice. Then we can come together. And that's ultimately, it's embracing our shadow self and then finding the golden eggs that are waiting for both of us, our shadow self and our light self, in those moments of quiet or boredom. If we can return to that Substack article for a minute, they do dive into the positive side of boredom. They say boredom can reshape our brains in a positive way. We can become more creative, better problem solvers, innovative, and more motivated. So what's the distinction here? They ask, how can we harness the good and not the bad that comes with boredom? They say the answer is that we're always adapting. They, as a child, remember being bored stiff in a pew in a church as their family went to church every Sunday. They found that their escape was daydreaming. They would create these elaborate daydreaming fantasies, and that technique stuck with them through adulthood. And all of this to say, they share, they adapted to their boredom, which is amazing. So ultimately, they write, it appears that we have 3 choices when it comes to being bored. Number 1, be bored. Number 2, find a healthy response to boredom. And number 3, indulge in an unhealthy response to boredom. I love their realistic approach to boredom. So with the first, just be bored. They mentioned the study that I talked about at the top about people being so averse to being bored that they would rather be electrically shocked than be left alone with their own thoughts. And they talk about that quote from Peter Gray. When their son tells Peter Gray that he's bored, he says, "That's great, honey, but we need to practice what we preach." We resist this space in our own head. As the studies that we quoted above outline, this time can be priceless. So number 2, healthy responses to boredom. While allowing yourself to be bored might be the ultimate goal, it's not the easiest choice, even if it might be the most rewarding in the long term. They encourage us by saying you can retrain your brain to have healthy responses to boredom, and this might look different for everyone. Hunt writes in The Guardian of long holidays spent at sea. On those trips, I read every book on board, regardless of the interest. It could be a dictionary, a medical encyclopedia, or thrillers that they found. And when they ran out of other people's stories, they would write their own. Grace Atwood, a writer and influencer whose writing the author enjoys, picked up a couple new hobbies that were found inspiring: mahjong and needlepoint. If you're looking for a new hobby, the author of Break Free from the Internet, this Substack, has a list of that as well. So look for the link in the show notes. But number 3, they do want to talk about indulging in unhealthy responses. So here lies the easy path, they write, indulging in the simple and easy relief of a doom scroll. They give their own example. A couple weeks ago, I woke up a little early, well ahead of my alarm clock. This is rare for me. I could have made a healthy choice to get up and stretch, read a book, or start preparing school lunches early. Did I? Of course not. I picked up my phone. I deleted the Facebook app at the start of the summer, but I've started another new habit by just logging into my Chrome browser. And she says, I know. Here's what's absurd about me engaging in this behavior. On the browser, the user experience is incredibly worse than the app. In their doom scrolling, they were constantly being served suggested accounts that are so far off the radar of things that she cares about. This resulted in her only reading and sort of caring about maybe 1 in 20 posts in the feed. And they get really honest here, because you'd think those posts gave them something worth chewing on, but they did not. They ended up sitting in their bed, stressed out, right? Drawn into negativity. They got further away from their goals. They were out of reach. They knew they had spent 30 plus minutes in their life doing something negative. And they said looking at the ceiling would have been a better activity. So they end their article with a challenge, both for themselves and for us. Practice being bored in the short boredom spurts. They're talking about waiting in line, walking the dog, sitting in a waiting room. These are good opportunities to get to know your brain, to follow your thoughts wherever they lead you, or simply to notice the world around you. The second part of their challenge is discover healthy responses for long periods of boredom. This is going to look different for everyone, she says, and it requires taking some inventory of yourself and how you picture your life. Maybe you want to start taking a book or a crossword puzzle with you wherever you go, so you pick that up instead of your phone. It could be time to pick up a new hobby, like they mentioned earlier, like knitting, or hone in on a skill you've always wanted to master. Are audiobooks and podcasts okay? That is for you to determine. I just love that. I wanted to turn back to me about how the too quiet house I was snowed into gave me the time to meditate, and an angel or 2 or 3 came forward to introduce themselves. So as of this recording, I've been on my own with just the pets as company for a stretch of days. My better half has been crisscrossing the country for projects. I'm looking forward to him coming home this week, but this time has given me loads of opportunity to be alone, to be bored, to be all the things that come with zero interruptions. I've tried to stick to my self-care routines, exercising each day, but I also crave human interaction. I've bundled up and done walks outside instead of videos or treadmill time as part of that effort to find human interaction. At night, I've added a 20 or so minute session of night yoga. And when I wake up in the dead of night, I have headphones ready on my nightstand to stream a meditation. These and our dog Cooper and our cat Opal have kept me sane. I've also reached out to talk with other human beings on the phone. All that said, in the morning over coffee in the quiet of the house, I'm finding it easier to connect to my guides and angels without any distractions. So morning meditation and boredom mixed together into this kombucha brew of beautifulness, and it resulted in this message coming through that I'd love to share with you. Boredom. Sitting in silence, staring at a blank, dry erase board allows us, your angels, your dragons, your guides, God, Jesus, ancestors, to speak to you and actually be heard. These moments, this magic begins with acclimating to your aversion, or at the very least, discomfort with being bored. The quiet, subtle, whispered messages are often the most impactful, but distraction and dis-ease, not easy with being alone with one's thoughts. Well, that's a lack of trust and confidence showing itself. You are enough. You are ample. But on top of that, if you're coming forward with trauma and the trauma is what you're afraid to sit with, you're not alone. You have an arsenal of angels around you to support you and hold your hand in this. Know that and dive into the quiet golden moments that boredom presents, and you will hear the whooshing of the flow that once you hear it seems obvious, and whose waves, once you've body surfed, will be a new healthy high, an addiction like no other that sustains the soul and gives daily, hourly, minute by minute purpose to life. Okay, at this point of the whatever you want to call it, the meditation, two angels introduced themselves to me. They felt like they were on my right side, and it's really cold right now as I'm telling you this. They showed me the colors purple and then yellow and then golden cream. It was like an ombre. There's this country song I listen to. It's called The Devil You Don't or something. Their lyrics say, "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness, 'cause I can flip that switch. You can find out quick." I told the angels during my meditation that I didn't know them, and they took hold of my right hand and said they are the most me of the angels. In this life, that tension I feel is the fight between exuding love and seeming like a pushover or like a victim in the making. And that's what came back to that country lyric that I read you. They squeezed my hand and said they have always watched over me in times that I give the benefit of the doubt to someone or something that might have harmed me otherwise. Isn't that a comfort? We are all divinely protected when we are our most compassionate and loving selves, and give the benefit maybe even to people and animals and situations that we shouldn't. But that's huge, isn't it? Then one of the angels gave me a very specific example. In 2020, when the world was in panic mode, a state of stasis, I heard in the quiet that being kind, choosing kindness, is a tough path that the rest of the Western world has cast as ignorance and somehow easy. That's why we hear phrases like turning a blind eye. No, we loving, caring human beings are completely misunderstood. We see everything, and still with all that gritty, complicated ugliness, we choose to see the best. We are making conscious decisions to treat others with compassion. It's a choice. It's a hard choice to make. Yes, we are taken advantage of. We are used. We are, but we are aware it is happening. We are never oblivious. Often we wish we were, because then the betrayal wouldn't hurt so much. The second angel stepped forward at this point and showed me a bumblebee, then explained their complicated society, the order of the hive and the engineering involved in collecting pollen, then making honeycombs, and then, of course, the liquid gold that results. That is us. Those bees working together to make honey are all of us souls out here, choosing kindness during dark or complicated times. We are the engineers that, in spite of challenges, even personal ones, are making certain everything within our reach is in good working order. The angel went on to say, creating sweetness in this very dense, difficult Earth boot camp is a huge accomplishment, and it can be thankless. Oh my gosh, amen. One final example I was given by the angels was we embody Charlie Brown. Okay, you know when Lucy tees up the football yet again, maybe for the 87th time, and Charlie Brown still runs at the ball in hopes this time he gets to kick it? The angel was clear, and I need you to hear me on this. Charlie Brown is not a fool. He is an eternal optimist that knows one day Lucy's going to grow up. She's going to self-reflect. She's going to mature and become more of a feeling soul that might be ashamed to look back at the time she tricked Charlie Brown. She held the football and pulled it away before he could kick. They went on. How sad would the world be if Charlie Brown saw Lucy tee up the football and Charlie Brown just walked away? That would be true hopelessness. If you hold hope in spite of the defeats of the past, you are making a difference just being you. You are keeping hope alive for the collective. You are holding the light of the world. You, my friend, are an eternal flame. I'm not sure I've shared this with you before, but my Charlie Brown and the football moment, it happened in Pasco, Washington. I was home from college for a visit. I had a hair appointment and no car to get me there. My parents offered to take me and pick me up at the end. I came out of the salon when my appointment was over, and I stood on the sidewalk. As I saw them approaching in the car, I waved them down. Their car was right there. How could they not see me? I waved harder and smiled, and they passed right by too fast to safely approach. They came around again, and again I waved them down. Worried they'd give up and I'd be stranded, I ran towards the car. Finally, they stopped. When I opened the back door to get in, they were all laughing hysterically. I mean, so hard they were crying. I was hurt. I still hurt for that me in that moment, a lot less so, but I still do. I'm being honest. But imagine for a second if I hadn't waved, if I'd turned and walked the miles home thinking they hadn't seen me. That's hopelessness, my friends. And because I am someone that's always assumed goodness from others, well, that's what made their prank so darn funny for them, watching my rainbow hope bubble pop. Over the years, they told that story countless times to anyone that had ears to listen, and it continued to crack them up. But when I was in the room for the telling, I wondered how they weren't embarrassed on any level about their behavior. Not in the slightest. Jophiel was there with me back then, making certain they didn't crush my innate spirit. Jophiel's with me now as I tell you, smelling of lemon honey tea. It takes strength to see the ugly sides of people that should love you better and choose to love them back regardless. That's true grit. Old me would have said it was just a joke, them driving away pretending they didn't see me. Now me knows I'm okay. I've chosen people around me better. I had one loved one in the not too distant past that joked about not seeing me a couple times when we were meeting back up at the mall or whatever after separating. After the second or third time, I told them this story about the joke with my parents, and they hugged me and they apologized. They've never repeated that joke. That is love. That's kindness. That's a person like me with flaws, lots of flaws, but endeavoring to learn and try to do better. After the experience I had during my boring time that turned into this deep message from these angels in meditation, I researched to find out who these angels were. So I read multiple books and online articles, and I consulted my resident angel expert, Molly. The two angels were Haniel and Jophiel. First up, Haniel. Who is she? I found this from learnreligion.com. If you've become frustrated or disappointed looking for happiness and coming up short, you can turn to Haniel to develop the kind of relationship with God that would bless you with a truly enjoyable life, no matter what circumstances you find yourself in. All you have to do is be alert to signs that Haniel is present. Haniel's signature way of communicating with people is by giving them a fresh sense of joy within their souls, believers say. In her Encyclopedia of Angels, Spirit Guides, and Ascended Masters, Susan Gregg writes that, quote, in an instant, Haniel can change your mood from one of great hopelessness to one of great joy. Gregg adds that Haniel brings harmony and balance wherever she goes and reminds you to find fulfillment from within, rather than trying to find happiness from outside of yourself. She reminds humans that external joy is fleeting, while the happiness that comes from within is never lost. Okay, that resonates with this whole conversation. In the Angel Bible, the definitive guide to angel wisdom, Hazel Raven writes that Haniel brings emotional freedom, confidence, and inner strength, and ameliorates emotional turmoil by balancing those emotions. Haniel brings out hidden talents and helps us to find our true passions, writes Kitty Bishop in her book, The Tao of Mermaids. She continues, Haniel's presence can be felt as calming, serene energy, which enables you to clear out mental and emotional debris. In their place, Haniel brings in passion and purpose. Haniel reminds us to let our light shine and that it is only our fear that holds us back from showing the world who we truly are. Whoa, that blew my mind. Also, are you hearing Cooper snore in the background? I love that. He's in every episode snoring at my feet. Haniel may try to send you a sign by drawing your attention to the moon, believers say, since the archangel has a special affinity for the moon. Haniel radiates inner qualities outwardly like the full moon, writes Doreen Virtue in Archangels 101. It's very effective to call upon Haniel during a full moon, especially if there's anything you'd like to release or heal. I found this about Haniel from Christina Aroche on YouTube. She says there are 3 signs you need to slow down. Number 1, you're feeling overwhelmed. You're always behind with your to-do list. The environment, the people in your life, that's a sure sign you need to slow down. Number 2, feeling a lack of clarity. Are you doing things just for the sake of doing? You're probably struggling with hearing what your purpose is. You are digging into busy work. Oh my God, I feel so seen. Number 3, feeling disconnected from yourself. If you are going too fast in life, you tend to lose a sense of who you are. Getting lost in the process of life, you need to slow down. Christina mentions that we feel uneasy slowing down. Yes, ma'am, but that's probably the good old ego. Ever have the fear of missing out, she asks? That's the ego keeping you from divine guidance. The space you create by slowing down is magic. That state of quiet allows Source, God, angels, the divine to guide us. The only way we can listen to our bodies and in turn take care of them is to slow down. Archangel Haniel is the perfect angel to call in to help us feel held and seen, supported with the mind chatter, she says. Be more in tune with our bodies and our spirit. Ask Haniel to show us how to deepen our connection to ourselves. You may be guided to do breath work or journaling or grounding work or meditation. All of those and more help us to slow down enough to hear and see and feel where we're being guided. They make it easier to see the breadcrumbs of our being rather than what our mind thinks we should be doing. I love the trail of breadcrumbs that we can see. She says, ask Haniel directly how she can help us invite more stillness into our daily lives. Okay, and I'm going to interject. You can ask yourself this before you fall asleep. And if you ask this question to Haniel, I've no doubt that by morning light, you'll have been given an answer or divine inspiration. Here are some signs of Haniel. But remember, she may work with you to create specific signs and symbols that catch your attention the best. And I have to say also, her gender may not be she for you. It may be like they, them. It may be he, him, because I found that with Jophiel. But here are the 5 signs of Archangel Haniel. This comes from ReikiAmazes.com. Inner peace and tranquility. One of the most noticeable signs of Archangel Haniel's presence is a sense of inner peace and tranquility. When she's near, you may feel a sense of calm and ease in your body and mind. This can help you to let go of stress and worry and allow yourself to relax into the present moment. As if a gentle breeze were blowing through your mind and body, the calming energy of Haniel can help you to let go of any feelings of stress or anxiety that you may be experiencing. As you allow yourself to relax into her calming energy, you may find that your thoughts become clearer and your intuition becomes stronger. This can be especially valuable when making important decisions or navigating challenging situations, as it can help you to make choices that are aligned with your deepest values and desires. The second is synchronicities and signs. So that's another sign of her presence, is you're going to be seeing more synchronicities and signs in your life. You may notice more coincidences or meaningful events that seem to be guiding you on your path. These signs can come in many forms, such as a specific song on the radio, a chance encounter with someone, or a recurring dream. When Archangel Haniel is present in your life, you may begin to notice an increase in those signs. It's a guiding of your path that you're seeing. These are the breadcrumbs, or my God, there's like stone pavers if they're leading the path. They can come in a lot of forms, and they can come in seemingly random occurrences. You can even see profound experiences, which is amazing. A third sign of her is that you're going to see that you're getting help with issues when it comes to confidence and self-assurance. The author explains, when Haniel is around, you'll start to feel more comfortable in your own skin and more willing to take risks and try new things. This can be especially helpful if you've been feeling stuck or unsure about a particular situation in your life. Haniel's energy is not only soothing and comforting, but also empowering. She can help you to tap into your own strength and confidence and to recognize your own self-worth. With her guidance, you may find that you're more willing to pursue your dreams and pursue your passions, even if they feel uncertain at first. I love this so much. Literally, my body is vibrating. I needed to hear this message, and I hope it's being received in love with you as well. Number 4, connection to intuition. One of Haniel's primary roles is to help people connect with their intuition and inner guidance. When she is present, you may feel a stronger sense of connection to your own inner wisdom and knowing and intuition. This can help you to make decisions that feel more aligned with your true self and your highest good. By connecting with Haniel's energy, you can gain a deeper understanding of your own strengths, your own weaknesses, and your desires. You may find that your intuition becomes clearer and more reliable, allowing you to make decisions that are aligned with your highest good and spiritual path. Remember, All of us have intuition. Those are muscles, and we can choose to work them out every day, or we can choose to let them atrophy. Haniel is helping us on our workout. She's like our intuition's personal trainer. I just had to add that. This can help you to navigate challenging situations with more confidence and with ease, knowing that you are guided by higher power. Moonstone and pearl are two crystals that are often associated with her. You may find yourself drawn to them more frequently. These crystals are said to enhance intuition and psychic abilities, which are closely linked to Haniel's energy. One symbol that's often associated with her is the rabbit. Bunny rabbits, as it is a lunar animal. Have you ever read or seen the rabbit in the full moon? In Asian culture, they talk about it as a rabbit in the full moon. You can't not see it once you've seen the rabbit. So that's why it's closely linked to the moon. You may notice an increase in your attraction to rabbits or rabbit-related items, such as jewelry and decorations. And I love this. This is so great because I've been feeding wild rabbits on my land because the snow has covered all of their food sources lately. By the way, I have to add, if you've been seeing the number 222 everywhere, that's Haniel trying to catch your attention through numbers. Okay, so I have to dive into the second angel that came forward, Jophiel. I've got to say, a lot of people, and me too, think of her as a she, but then all of a sudden I had this download because I had this little piece of paper that kept showing up in my house in random places that said Jophiel, and it had this symbol on it, which I'd seen in a dream when I had done Reiki on the back of an angel. I don't know if I shared that story with you. I'll tell you that at the very end because it's weird, baby. It's weird, but Jophiel for me, I'm realizing is male and female. So I found this about Archangel Jophiel from the blackfeatherintuitive.com. Of course, links in the show notes. This is relevant information, and after considering it, I understand why he or she came forward this week. Archangel Jophiel, which means beauty of God, is widely known as the angel of beauty. Jophiel is thought to work with Archangel Metatron. When I contact Jophiel, and remember this is the author of the article speaking, she gives me the gift of wisdom to clearly see the beauty in all things. In tough times, this can be especially helpful. Sometimes in life, we can forget to appreciate the value of struggle when we allow negative thoughts to fog our minds. As a result, you may feel like a statue frozen by your negative emotions. You can easily lose clarity in times like these, whether they are stressful life events or even artistic endeavors like artistic blocks. Connecting with Jophiel can help you see your thoughts, your emotions, and circumstances more clearly by using the yellow light from her flaming sword of wisdom as a source of illumination. Turning into Jophiel's energy helps us to bring serenity to our minds and inspire creative ways to help us balance the good and the bad. She continues, the angel energy color of Jophiel is yellow. The most surefire way to know that Jophiel is with you is to recognize the yellow features of your environment. Sometimes people use yellow candles or citrine gemstones as tools to connect with Jophiel. The light of the flame from Jophiel's sword or her yellow light ray are symbols of the illumination they provide to your thoughts, to your emotions, and your choices. Jophiel also inspires creativity and appreciation. Connect with Jophiel if you feel stuck in an artistic project or need to think outside the box for a work project. However, creativity and inspiration can be useful in more than just art and work. For example, she says, Jophiel can help you achieve mental clarity when you're studying for a test. In fact, Jophiel's energy can even help you while you're taking a test. Okay, hi, college and high school students out there. Draw in Jophiel to help you with your next test. You still have to study, that have Jophiel on your side. The Archangel Jophiel is often depicted holding a flaming sword, the sword of wisdom. Some of these depictions show Jophiel with the flaming sword of wisdom guarding the tree of life. This flaming sword is the symbol for Jophiel's ability to cut through the illusions of your thoughts by illuminating the true nature of your spiritual self. So cutting through the crap is the way I would say it. Its yellow light from the flame illuminates the reality of your situation. In other words, Jophiel wields her sword to battle ignorance caused by misunderstanding. You can call out to Jophiel if you need help understanding a complex situation, personal dynamic, or a philosophical concept you're facing in life. Oh my gosh, I love this weapon because she's fierce and armed to literally carve out the time and space we need to let wisdom come forward and artistic inspiration and messages from source. Oh my God, I'm glad to know she's here for us. One final note from Black Feather. This light helps you to appreciate the beauty of your true self. In doing so, you can make the best choices available to you and achieve your goals more easily. By the way, if you're seeing 444, that's Archangel Jophiel trying to catch your attention. Okay, so before I close, I'm going to tell you the weirdest of the weird. I mean, who needs the Curious Q anymore when you have my weird life? I had this thing. After my message came through that I told you guys about at the top, I had this teeny tiny piece of coral colored paper. It was like a part of a Post-it that had been ripped off. And it said Jophiel. And there was this like sideways 3 with a little squiggle. And I was so confused by it. I would throw it away and then it would just show up on Cooper's paw. Then I would throw it away and it would show up in a book. Then I would throw it away and it would show up on the bottom of my foot. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So that's how I knew Jophiel was an angel stepping forward for me. And I pulled every book I have on my bookshelf that has to do with angels, spirit guides, goddesses, gods, things like that. And in this book, the illustrations are by Audra Auclair, and the author is Susan Gregg. It's angels, spirit guides, and goddesses. I turned to the page on Archangel Jophiel, and this is what I found. Jophiel will help you to clean the house, to do well on exams, to overcome ignorance, to banish prejudice, to protect the environment, to jazz up your spiritual practices, and enhance your creativity. His fiery sword cuts through illusion, which I talked about, and he brings inner wisdom, illumination, and consistency. And they kept mentioning him. Susan Gregg mentions him as a he. And there's this gorgeous illustration. Audra Auclair, I am obsessed with her paintings, her drawings. They're amazing in this book. But Jophiel was a he. And then I realized why this symbol, which I had written, it's actually like I was writing the word we, but it was uppercase and it was sideways. But then I remembered the dream I had. I was in this very bougie feeling mansion, and I was led because I was there to do Reiki on someone, which I don't do Reiki, but I guess I do laying on the hands and help people to heal themselves, right? But I've never been trained in Reiki. But in the dream, it doesn't matter, right? It's a dream. I was hired to do Reiki for someone, and it was a young man. I never got to see his face, but he had like sandy blonde hair. It went down to his shoulders, and I had to push his hair aside in order to start working on his back. And I was doing the Reiki, but then I pretty quickly realized, all of the tension was up behind his ears and up above on his scalp. So I was doing this Reiki and I was really getting in there, and he was groaning, and he had this like sweet release of like this block that had been up there. And he said he was mad at himself. He couldn't believe that he had forgotten about the connection between the head and the heart and the spine and the body. And as I looked at the top of his spine to make sure that we had connected the release down through his spine, I saw a tattoo. And it was like I've learned later, the symbol for Om, which is like a backwards 3 with a flat top and then like a squiggle in the middle. His was on its side and it had a little squiggle, and it was a tattoo. And at this point I said, "Are you a jinn?" And he said, "No, angel." And I never knew which angel he was. Well, it was Jophiel. The same symbol is on my little square of Post-it that kept showing up. And then when I looked at the book, the depiction by the artist Audra Auclair, as probably instructed or kind of maybe guided by Susan Gregg, the author of this book, was that he was male with sandy blonde hair. It's just crazy. It's crazy how it all came together. The other thing that's amazing to me is that these angels, and this is for all of us, so lean in, these angels do not care that we've never known their name until now. They have been working with us, with our higher self, and with us right here in our meat suits to help us in this very hard life on earth to get through it more smoothly and be okay. They don't care that we didn't know their numbers, or we didn't acknowledge their colors or their gems, or we didn't know how to pray to them a perfect way. They are here and have been working with us in beautiful ways the entire time. It's just icing on the cake that we're getting to know their names and ways that we can acknowledge that they're here with us right now. I love knowing that we have been lovingly guided our whole lives. I hope this conversation has, at its heart, driven home to you that you are enough. You are your own best company, and you have divine assistance all around you, waiting to whisper inspiration to you in quiet moments. They are here to hold your hand through the hardest times and help smooth the path when you set your sights on a goal. Do not hesitate to ask for help from the angels, from your guides, from your ancestors, God and spirits. This life on earth is hard. I'm so glad we aren't alone. Thanks for listening to Curious Cat. Until next week, stay curious. I love you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.